Shazadpur, June 1891. From the bank to which the boat is tied, a kind of scent rises out of the grasses, and the heat of the ground, given off in gasps, actually touches my body. I feel that the warm, living earth is breathing upon me, and that she, also, must feel my breath. The young shoots of rice are waving in the breeze, and the ducks are in turn thrusting their heads beneath the water and preening their feathers. There is no sound save the faint, mournful creaking of the gangway against the boat as she imperceptibly swings to and fro in the current. Not far off there is a ferry. A motley crowd has assembled under the banyan tree awaiting the boat's return, and as soon as it arrives they eagerly scramble in. I enjoy watching this for hours together. It is market day in the village on the other bank, that is why the ferry is so busy. Some carry bundles of hay, some baskets, some sacks, some are going to the market, others coming from it. Thus, in the silent noonday, the stream of human activity slowly flows across the river between two villages. I sat wondering, why is there always this deep shade of melancholy over the fields, arid river banks, the sky and the sunshine of our country? And I came to the conclusion that it is because with us, nature is obviously the more important thing. The sky is free, the fields limitless, and the sun merges them into one blazing whole. In the midst of this, man seems so trivial. He comes and goes like the ferry boat from this shore to the other, the babbling hum of his talk, the fitful echo of his song, is heard. The slight movement of his pursuit of his own petty desires is seen in the world's marketplaces. But how feeble, how temporary, how tragically meaningless it all seems amidst the immense aloofness of the universe. The contrast between the beautiful, broad, unalloyed peace of nature, calm, passive, silent, unfathomable, and our own everyday worries, paltry, sorrow-laden, strife-tormented, puts me beside myself as I keep staring at the hazy, distant blue lines of trees which fringe the fields across the river. Where nature is ever hidden in chorus, under mist and cloud, snow and darkness, there man feels himself master. He regards his desires, his works as permanent. He wants to perpetuate them. He looks towards posterity. He raises monuments. He writes biographies. He even goes to the length of erecting tombstones over the dead. So busy is he that he has no time to consider how many monuments crumble, how often names are forgotten. Shazadpur, June 1891. There was a great big mast lying on the riverbank, and some little village urchins with never a scrap of clothing decided, after a long consultation, that if it could be rolled along to the accompaniment of a sufficient amount of vociferous clamor, it would be a new and altogether satisfactory kind of game. The decision was no sooner come to than acted upon with a "Shabash, brothers! All together! Heave ho!" and at every turn it rolled, there was uproarious laughter. The demeanor of one girl in the party was very different. She was playing with the boys for want of other companions, but she clearly viewed with disfavor these loud and strenuous games. At last, she stepped up to the mast and without a word, deliberately sat on it. So rare a game to come to so abrupt a stop. Some of the players seemed to resign themselves to giving it up as a bad job, and retiring a little way off, they sulkily glared at the girl in her impassive gravity. One made as if he would push her off, but even this did not disturb the careless ease of her pose. The eldest lad came up to her and pointed to other equally suitable places for taking a rest, at which she energetically shook her head and, putting her hands in her lap, steadied herself down still more firmly on her seat. Then at last they had recourse to physical argument and were completely successful. Once again, joyful shouts rent the skies, and the mast rolled along so gloriously that even the girl had to cast aside her pride and her dignified exclusiveness and make a pretense of joining in the unmeaning excitement. But one could see all the time that she was sure boys never know how to play properly and are always so childish. If only she had the regulation yellow earthen doll handy, with its big black topknot, would she ever have deigned to join in this silly game with these foolish boys? All of a sudden, the idea of another splendid pastime occurred to the boys. Two of them got hold of a third by the arms and legs and began to swing him. This must have been great fun, for they all waxed enthusiastic over it. But it was more than the girl could stand, so she disdainfully left the playground and marched off home. Then there was an accident. The boy who was being swung was let fall. He left his companions in a pet and went and lay down on the grass with his arms crossed under his head, desiring to convey thereby that never again would he have anything to do with this bad, hard world, but would forever lie alone by himself with his arms under his head and count the stars and watch the play of the clouds. The eldest boy, unable to bear the idea of such untimely world renunciation, ran up to the disconsolate one and taking his head on his own knees, repentantly coaxed him. "Come, my little brother. Do get up, little brother. Have he hurt you, little brother?" And before long I found them playing, like two pups at catching and snatching away each other's hands. 2 minutes had hardly passed before the little fellow was swinging again. Shazadpur, June 1891. I had a most extraordinary dream last night. The whole of Calcutta seemed enveloped in some awful mystery, the houses being only dimly visible through a dense, dark mist, within the veil of which there were strange doings. I was going along Park Street in a hackney carriage, and as I passed St. Xavier's College, I found it had started growing rapidly and was fast getting impossibly high within its enveloping haze. Then it was borne in on me that a band of magicians had come to Calcutta, who, if they were paid for it, could bring about many such wonders. When I arrived at our Jorasanko house, I found these magicians had turned up there too. They were ugly looking, of a Mongolian type, with scanty mustaches and a few long hairs sticking out of their chins. They could make men grow. Some of the girls wanted to be made taller, and the magicians sprinkled some powder over their heads and they promptly shot up. To everyone I met, I kept repeating, "This is most extraordinary, just like a dream." Then someone proposed that our house should be made to grow. The magicians agreed, and a preliminary began to take down some portions. The dismantling over, they demanded money, or else they would not go on. The cashier strongly